Good morning, everybody. I think Julian can start the introductions today.
Okay, perfect. If you want, we can start now. So, good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Climate Emergency Workshop, which is organized by the Green Revolution Foundation in cooperation with the Hazy Green Office and with her many Voices Foundation. I'll start by introducing myself. My name is Ilian Beishu, recently graduated student from the Water Management Department of Hazet University of Applied Science in the Netherlands. And nowadays I'm a member of the Green Revolution Foundation. Despite the early starting hour of this event, I'm glad that there are still a few participants who want to be part of our first Climate Emergency Solutions workshop, which will go over several topics like possible climate solutions, the perspective of indigenous communities on environment, how these communities cope with climate change, and then positive aspects of hemp cultivation, and last but not least, the world first climate action coffee shop in Amsterdam, a topic which will be presented by one of our speakers today, who is Mr. Attila Suba, who is the founder of Green Revolution Foundation. But first, I'll give the floor to our special guest, all the way from the US to the Netherlands, Mrs. Alicia Fall, who is the founder of Her Many Voices Foundation and a representative for the indigenous people. Mrs. Alicia Fall, we have the floor.
Thank you very much, Julian. Will you do me a favor and allow me to share my screen?
I did it.
Yes.
You did?
Yes, you can now.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, everyone. So let's see. Are you seeing the screen? It's in its entirety?
Yes.
Yep. Okay. All right, everyone. Good morning. Thank you for the invite this morning. My name is Alicia Fall. I am Eastern Band Salagi Cherokee on my mother's side, and I am Cuban Taino on my father's, and I'm also Dutch on my mother's side and Spanish on my father's. And I'm the proud mother of two warrior daughters, vision holder of Her Many Voices Foundation. Our core value is whatever I do for another, I do for myself. This is something that my mother instilled in me at a very young age. So I do my best every day to be mindful of my thoughts, my words, and my actions. As Julian pointed out, I'm speaking to you today from the Netherlands. I'm in Amsterdam at the moment, but my organization is based in, should say, occupied territory of the Apache, the Ute, the Cheyenne peoples. Today, we refer to these folks, to this area, as Colorado. And I'm sure everybody's familiar, but if not, we're more of the central part of the US in Colorado. So let's see if we can get this to work. The mission of Her Many Voices is to ignite the artivists, which is the activists and artivists in each and every one of us, to move our passions to purpose for the betterment of women, children, and our Mother Earth. And we do this because there are 1.3 billion people that live in multi-dimensional poverty today. Over 800 million are women and children. And if you're not familiar with the term multi-dimensional poverty, we're talking about a wide range of various deprivations that poor people experience during the course of their everyday lives. And that could be a lack of education, poor health, poor, dangerous working environments, child labor, violence, whether it's in the home, whether in community, in war-torn areas. And we're also talking about environmental issues, such as poor sanitary conditions, poor drinking water, and toxic fuels. Now, why are we experiencing any of these things? It's very simple. We have found ourselves separate. We have separated ourselves from each other and from nature. And the only reason why we're doing this is out of greed. and control of others. Now, whether we want to believe it or not, whether we understand it or not, it doesn't matter. Right? It doesn't matter what we look like, what we sound like, the languages we speak, whether we're in human form, bird, fish, river, rock, or tree. We are all connected. And we must honor and respect all of life. When we work together, we rise together. And we don't, well, we end up in the situation that we know that we are in. Now, one of the ways that we have disconnected ourselves is that we've made this little plant here in many, many areas of the planet. For a number of years, this plant was made illegal. Now, think about how absurd it is that we should take something that Mother Earth has given us and decide that it is illegal. And again, for the only reason of greed and control of others. So at Her Many Voices, and there are many others that are doing this now, we are claiming back that which was stolen from us. Hemp. It's a social justice plant. And this one plant can give us food, shelter, clothing, medicine, energy, currency. It has for thousands of years. This is what we were using. And it's also a wonderful environmental defender and healer of Mother Earth. It carbon sequests 5 times greater than the average tree. And it also provides us soil remediation. I'm going to show you a little video here on how Her Many Voices is using hemp. This is Earth, home sweet home. We at Her Many Voices Foundation live here. The rest of you are somewhere around here too. Since we share the same mother, guess that makes us siblings. Let's put a pin in that thought. Isn't she beautiful? You know, she's 4.5 billion years old, 22,500 times older than humans, but you should have seen her back in the day. The power of her climate change could not be rivaled. Drama had nothing on Mother Earth. And then humans showed up. For thousands of years, it was all good. We went with the flow, walked in balance. We were one with nature until we decided we knew better than her. Now let's just say humans' evolutionary changes have been putting a strain on dear Mother. You know the future depends on her, right? When she thrives, we thrive. When she doesn't, the picture. But at Her Many Voices, they believe that whatever I do for another, I do for myself. Mother Earth knows this well. And being the mom that she is, she's given us exactly what we need to take care of ourselves while taking care of her. One of the things she's left us is this little powerhouse plant right here. That would be me. My name is Hemp. Yeah, I know I don't look like much, but given the opportunity, I'll show you exactly how much I can do. The folks at Her Many Voices get me and have been reintroducing me into communities. What can I say? I'm a very environmentally friendly plant. They're providing trainings on how you can best partner with me to make a better world. You wouldn't believe what they've been able to use me for. Together, we're feeding people, housing people, and helping animals, all while taking care of our home. I grow in just about every climate, and I'm ready to go in about 3 months. I remove toxins from the ground, replenish the soil with nitrogen and nutrients, help control soil erosion, absorb carbon from the air, and put it back into the earth. I've even helped bring back bees in certain areas. And unlike cotton, I don't need fertilizers, pesticides, or herbicides. Did you know they cause air and water pollution? So join us at Her Many Voices and help us address climate change by planting educational seeds as well as more hemp seeds in the ground. Mother Earth literally means the world to us. Time to let her know. So that's a little bit about us. And a number of the things that we do reflect those things that are part of the 17 Sustainability Development Goals UN has put out. Now, regardless of what your thoughts are around the UN, these goals are certainly crucial to our very existence, to the future of humanity. One of the things that's out there, I don't know if you can see this, there is a book on cannabis and sustainability goals development. You can get the hardcover, but there's also a PDF of everything that's in here that's available, and I'll put that in at the end of the presentation. You might want to take a look at it because it really is well written, and it speaks to how do we work with cannabis and hemp in particular policies and helping humanity. So the two things that we are predominantly focused on within Her Many Voices is food security and shelter. These photos are both taken in Haiti. We've been working there since the 2010 earthquake. And we want to make sure that people have basic food and they have reasonable shelters above them. When you're in a safe environment physically, it keeps you healthier. If you're healthier, you get to contribute to community in a greater way. Now, when I met this woman here in the bottom right, Teresa, I was just shocked at her environment. But in her home, she raised 11 children. And every time the rains come, it comes through her house. Every time the winds blow, they blow through her house. Every time there's any kind of environment, it affects her, and it affected her children. And I couldn't help but think, we can do better and we must. There is no reason in the world why anyone should live under these circumstances when this is available. Every one of these houses here are hempcrete structures. If you're not familiar with what hempcrete is, it is nothing more than the herd from the hemp, which looks like animal bedding, mixed with limestone and water. With those three ingredients, you get to have these kind of homes. You can breathe in them. They are mold resistant, they're pest resistant, fire resistant, earthquake resistant. They are all the things that we need. And they are as healthy as you can possibly imagine to live in. We're not using any of the toxic materials that we have typically in constructions today. The spot here, this little house up here, this one is in Colorado, and it's one that I helped to build. This one is in the Ukraine. Empire with Sergey has built this. And I believe this one down here is with either Sergey, no, it's a Merishov. They are a Pennsylvania-based company. So think about it. We can go from what we see on the left-hand side to what we see on the right-hand side without issue anywhere on the planet. Now, we're using this idea of working with hemp to help build hemp longhouse communities. The first one, right now, we're actively looking for land in upstate New York. And if you're not familiar with what a longhouse is, typically, traditionally, with indigenous peoples in the States, there are many different tribes that multiple families would come together, live under one structure, and tend to community, to the land together. Today, we look at this and we call these intentional communities or agrihoods, agricultural neighborhoods. So we're taking this concept of multiple people coming together to provide for each other and Mother Earth in a very sustainable kind of way. The areas would look more like this than what traditional longhouses were looking like. but we're going to have one large area where we have a Longhouse, where it's a community center and multiple hempcrete structures around for families. Now, it's all about coming together to do this work. And one of the things that's really driving me right now is this particular quote by an Indigenous elder out of Australia by the name of Lila Watson. And she says, if you are coming to help me, you are wasting your time. But if you're coming because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together. It is in that collaboration that we get to make a difference in this world. We are running out of time to be. Now, I feel like I'm very fortunate because we've got at Her Many Voices a huge team of people who have come together. Everyone that you see up here, it's either an individual, a business, an organization, either for-profit, nonprofit, that have said yes to working together to support each other and really help to get the idea of working with this plant medicine of hemp out there. So I would love to see more up on this particular screen. And if any one of you are interested in working with us in any of our projects, please give me a call or write to me. I would love to hear from you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alicia. I think it was really nice to hear, and I think a lot of people. And Raj, welcome, Raj. Nice to hear you.
Good morning.
See you from India, also here. So I'm just would like to involve also Ingrid arrived in this morning. Good morning. And just to get a little notion that how is the university and how is the networks are connected to hemp solutions, and what are you looking to forward in the future when we think about hemp, and here in the Netherlands, focusing on hemp, not just hemp cultivation, but these hemp networks coming together. So I just want to involve you in that, your hemp story.
Yeah, thank you, Attila, and of course Alicia, for a very interesting presentation. At least the part that I saw, I had some trouble finding the Zoom link. I'm sorry. I'm part of what the Hazet is participating together with Avans University of Applied Sciences in the Center of Expertise Bio-Based Economy. And we also have a research department focusing on bio-based construction materials. And yeah, hemp is one of the many bio-based crops, so to say. It's of course a very special crop. I definitely agree with that. Whereas Europe or originally had a lot of hemp growth, so the whole of Europe was, yeah, we've been growing hemp over the ages, but we kind of lost or did not do that anymore since 100 years ago. So it's very interesting to get that back, and of course the Netherlands is known for hemp growth, but then in a different way. But it's now also industrial hemp cultivation is very much allowed. So it would be very interesting to bring this more into the scope of the farmers and to get the whole processing chain and the whole supply chain to get that bigger, basically. Of course, you have some companies, especially in the north of the Netherlands. And we are also in the Center of Expertise Bio-Based Construction looking at hemp, and we're using it. But we're also looking at other crops. For example, building with clay, I would say, and combine that with straw, which is a leftover material from the way we make our bread now, is of course also maybe an interesting option. And I would like to ask Alicia whether she's also been looking into alternatives, or why hemp is so very interesting that because I've also been got to know an architect in Belgium, and he said he's actually working with lime or lame. So that is clay, building with cob or earth, basically, just the earth. You take the earth and you can mix it with a fiber to make it more strong. So instead of mixing hemp with limestone, which makes a very solid kind of concrete-like building material, which is great, you could also use earth and mix that with a certain fiber. For example, here what we do is straw. And this architect from Belgium is saying you can build in such a way in every place on the globe, basically. Yeah.
Absolutely. And there are plenty of straw houses, cob houses, earth domes, that sort of thing. And hemp can be something that you mix within that as well. A lot of the houses that are built with hemp, there's a mix of, you can put another aggregate in there, you can put sand, you can put clay, you can do many different things. The reason why I feel that hemp is so important is that we are in a situation where we've got so much carbon that we need to get rid of in the air. And this is one of those beautiful medicine plants that can handle that in a very short period of time, and so much better than other plants that are out there. I should say trees that are out there. And then, so you think about the carbon sequestering, and you think about the soil remediation and how it's going to clean. Corn is not going to clean your soil the way that hemp is going to do. You know, straw is not going to carbon sequester the way that hemp can. And now we also keep in mind, everything is about biodiversity. I would never tell anyone, just do hemp, plant hemp, that's all you need.
Okay.
Because then we throw out the biodiversity. We get to mix this together. We get to blend it. There are plenty of construction companies who've been doing the old ways of construction who are now looking at this, and you don't want to, it would destroy their business if overnight everything went to hemp. You just blend it in, and over a period of time, you can get to that place of now we're using hemp in its fullness, as opposed to we're using cement. And what is that doing to the planet? So you can mix the hemp in with the cement. And so businesses can slowly get to that place that we really need to be.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Yeah, that really answers my question very well. Yeah. And I do agree, of course, with the amount of carbon. I do agree. It's a known fact. So yeah, hemp is great in the amount of carbon it absorbs. Yeah. Okay.
Great. I would love to just take everybody a little bit on board on the starting with the workshop, which is gonna be basically focusing on what the green revolution is creating, and how we see the using existing science, combining not just nature solutions, but all the social, economical, and information technology solutions for climate action, and how we combine this together. So I would like to share the screen, and just it's a 25 page 45 page presentation. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but the most important is that whenever you feel like joining in, and I'm going to be asking questions, Whenever you feel like joining in and contributing, feel free to share, because that's the whole reason we are here, is to share this information, ideas, and also our perspectives on our problems. So I know there is multiple continents represented here now, so there are multiple viewpoints, and I hope we're gonna put together something which is gonna be interesting for everybody. Just a sec.
And Attila, I also want to add, I put in the link in the chat, the PDF version of this book. But if you want the physical, please let me know.
Yeah, and I have that book too, so that's gonna be the interesting thing going forward. I'm sharing my screen. Yes. So yeah, I wanted to start this whole presentation on this whole thing is with what is our reality. So how we create our reality is going to be an important part of this whole discussion and workshop, because as we know that what we imagine up like this USB stick, which was in my table, it was created in somebody's imagination first, and then we made it real. But as this same goes to our social, cultural, political systems, is our basically our imagination. The economic system that we are working in today is our imagination coming alive. So we are going back to not just to the indigenous wisdom when it comes to how we look to nature, and how we have to change our perspective when we thinking about the biodiversity and the whole planet. But at the same time, we have to change perspectives when it comes to the creation of our world. And the changing our that's Plato says that we can change our reality by changing our mind, and it's basically about changing our perspectives. What is our perspective we are looking to the world? So I just wanted to give you some sneak peek what we want to talk about, but we come together with this whole destruction of this planet as of now. And now, as Alicia said, we don't have time, so we just like to involve you in this question. What do you think we have more to share? So if you have some ideas, what are the basic how to say problems when it comes to our climate emergency? We starting with the overconsumption of because overconsumption is connected to our consumer society, and we already know that about 10% of the global population, the top 10%, uses about 50% of our resources. So and we produce enough food to feed everybody on the planet. And at the same time, we always come up with this centralized way of centralizing power, which creates this whole problem concept when it comes to our social structures. So I would like to involve you, and this is just the first part of the list, why we are doing this and what is our doing. So the question is, what do you think, what is also contributing to these destruction that we are basically making on the planet? I just want to refer back to Albert Einstein, that Einstein said that the world is ruled by three great forces: fear, stupidity, and greed. And behind this quote, there is a lots of knowledge that we now know how social sciences are contributing to this problem, or the social sciences shed light on how we are contributing to this problem. So I just wanted to involve you here and get some of your ideas. What is the problem in your perspective? Feel free to unmute yourself or send a text message in the chat.
I think, if I may speak,
Yeah, of course.
I think the problem is collaboration and actually getting on with the job and making things work. So may I introduce myself?
Yes.
Okay, my name's Tony Crooks, Group Head of Research and Development for Eotea Global, and we do we have offices in New Zealand and the UK and Washington, and we have 4 companies in Africa, and we do like big projects in Africa. And my job is when I get a chance to solve problems for governments in countries in Africa. And I started a project called Climate Crisis Team about 2.5 months ago. And that is all about getting as many people as possible to grow as much hemp as possible and process it so it's locked up or put back in the ground in as many African countries as possible. So it's quite a big job. But if there's 202 million hectares of unused arable land in Africa, and it's a crazy sort of idea to think of planting all of that with hemp. But if you did, then in one crop of 120 days or less, it would absorb 3.6 billion tons of carbon dioxide, which is about 20% of the entire human race output. And that amount is planet changing. So there are a lot of countries where hemp is not legal to grow, but what I've done is, or what we are doing, is creating there's the climate-crisis.team website, which explains what we're doing. And the central to it is a toolkit that we're building, which is a communications toolkit. So it enables people to go in there, and if you are, I like to describe it as, if you are a person who is a cog, potential cog in a hemp growing and processing project machine, then you go in there and you find all the other cogs that you fit with in order to make the machine. Yeah. So you can go in and you can find, if you're an investor or a seed supplier, machinery supplier, you're a person who has land or access to land, you're a farmer with skills, you have the equipment to process the hemp after it's been grown, and or you have another project, which is the takeoff and the conversion of the hemp to some manufactured product or whatever it is. So what this toolkit does, Climate Crisis Toolkit, is very compact. It works on mobile phones. It works on very slow download speeds, like you get in Africa, in a lot of places, and it will speed up. Well, I had a conversation with my CEO. He's based in New Zealand the other week, and I was saying how I thought it would take, normally, without such a facility, to find all the people, the land, the seeds, the supplies, and all the rest of it, to undertake a hemp growing and processing project in a country in Africa would take somewhere between 2 and 9 months to get organized and get started. And he says, well, having lived there for 3 years, like on duty as part of our company, mainly in Zimbabwe and Malawi. He reckons that it would take about 2 years to organise such a thing, you know, a project. And so this system will reduce that 2 years down to 2 months maximum, and you can have everything in place. And you can get on with. It makes it as easy as possible. And one of the biggest tasks we have is to change the laws in 46 countries on growing hemp. But there is a strategy for that in place, and I'm talking to people about it. And I've been made a special advisor to the Zimbabwe Industrial Hemp Trust. And I'm working with the African Union. I work for the last couple of years. I've worked with the ambassador, the UK ambassador for the African Union. So they will help. And also I'm connecting people up. There are investors that are coming in, and there are all the necessary people, all of those cogs, they're all coming in. And when I started this project, I had about 120 followers on LinkedIn, and now I have just short of 900 in about 10 weeks. And they include heads of department of the United Nations, investment companies, government bodies, CNN, CBS, BBC, Reuters, and so on. So
Tony,
this will be the largest carbon capture project in the world next year.
yes, and Tony, that is. I have one question for you, which is, what do you think is the biggest hurdle to get people on this? Because now I'm going to be jumping ahead, because that is the discussion. How we can get the public, the people, not just putting money in hemp, but also creating this hemp revolution that I'm always coming with this stupid example, but I don't know if all of you remember about Tamagotchi, the little thing that you can feed, and it was a little game, right? It came from nothing, and it took the whole world by itself. Why this can happen? Why social movements or ideas or memes can travel across the world and ignite interest in people? So now as we looking at the hemp revolution in the world, and what is the green revolution focuses on, what science is.
Yeah, that's a really good suggestion. That is really good. Thank you. I went to COP26. I spent 5 days there. I was disappointed. The first meeting I was supposed to have was with one of the heads of finance of the United Nations. He invited me to go and talk to him, but I couldn't get past security, so they won't let me in, which was annoying. But from going there and being video interviewed and so on, I am now working with an organization in America, and they're working on getting the word out about all the things that you can do with industrial hemp. And next month, next month, I think, then there's going to be a lot of work done in the Gulf of Arabia and all around there, and there's a lot of financial things going on. But one of the things that they're going to engage with is through music and the music industry and pop culture and so on, and partly due to a suggestion that I made. Does anybody remember my favorite album from 25 years ago, which was by Paul Simon and called Graceland? Mm-hmm. And that was a collaboration between Paul Simon and what do they call Lady Smith, Black Mambazo, and a lot of other musicians in South Africa, and it's just an amazing album altogether. Now, so what they're going to be doing is like linking up and making music and getting young people empowered about that in Africa, right? And 50% of the population is under 20. So this is a great way to get people fired up through music and everything like that. So that's part of the strategy of getting people engaged. And once you fire the population up in a particular country and get them all enthusiastic, you present the government with all the plus points and you show them all the investment, the money that is waiting to be invested and the successful projects. And the comparison between the advantages if they change the law and if they stay the same. Yes, and then they will usually be persuaded.
I totally agree with you, and that's why I pulled up this slide. So what is the science behind on how we can get people change their perspectives, their lifestyles, their purchasing, and why and how they buy stuff? Is the social sciences, which is called the Powers of Self-Persuasion, and developed in the last 40 years by Elliot Aronson and lots of other social behavior scientists and neuroscientists. What does it mean is that the self is that what you construct, right? So marketing uses to sell you Adidas, Nike, Coca-Cola with this purchase, because every purchase creates your identity. So you're buying basically your identity. And in that sense, we can use that same method to create awareness, because Pew Research just had 2 months ago had research came out about 80% of people who are living in advanced economies ready to change how they live, how they work, how they consume because of the climate emergency. 90%, there's a 2019 European Union survey, 90% of Europeans are very extremely fearful of the future because of the climate emergency. The will to act is there. How we ignite that will to act is that our goal here is to create solutions where people can buy stuff, because we are living in a consumer society. So people can buy stuff, and at the same time, these stuff that they can buy is ecological and sustainable way it's grown, and it's produced in a sustainable way, in a sustainable supply chain. What it means that the people who are producing the goods that we consume, that basically the money is going back to them, not to some huge corporation, right? So we have to stop supporting monocultures and these big corporations, and finding the best ways how we consume. But at the same time, that what this science says, that whenever you pay with your card, you plant hemp, or you plant a tree, that creates an awareness and creates a positive feedback loop in your brain that makes you want to do this again and again and again, because doing good is what you want to do. This is our social, this is our in our genetics. We are all social animals. So this is the way that we can transform society through our consumption, and at the same time we distribute that money. So what is, when we talk about circular economy, we are not just talking about circular supply chains and reuse and repair and all these waste management, waste to energy solutions, but also we are talking about when it comes to donut economy, which is a basic structure principle built on the Rome Club of Rome suggestions that we have a closed biosphere and we have a closed system, so we cannot overshoot this system. But how we create a circular money flow is going to be also an important part, because what is happening right now, whenever you buy phone subscription or anything, you go into buy your groceries or anything, that money, that profits are going into an international bank account and then to a tax haven. What can we do instead of that is that whenever you buy stuff for you, you contribute to education, healthcare, fight against poverty, climate action, and solving, investing that money. So that we have to design a system where the money is in the first world, in the developed countries, and flowing this money into where it's needed, where people are already suffering from the climate emergency. And we can use this money not just to build the hemp communities and hemp longhouses, but create this resilient system. So that is the money redistribution that we have to be working on. And we have to be seeing this as a whole picture, not just a supply chain issue, not just an energy issue, but it's also about how we distribute money. We have all the food on the planet. We are growing lots of food, the food not reaching to the people. So the distribution of money is going to be the next big question, how we do this. And now I just want to go back to to what we are doing with the Green Revolution Foundation. Our goal here in Amsterdam is to open the world's first climate action coffee shop. Whenever you go, you buy coffee or weed legally for recreational purposes, that all the profits that we are going to be generating is going to be funding those social projects. And also, Tony, I'm glad you mentioned music. I'm a blues singer, so that's my normal occupation. If we can do live concerts, that music is a great connector, and Alicia is also a musician. So musicians are here, and we know how to energize and involve people in this process. But I'm taking a little bit broader picture, because it's not just music, it's arts, it's movies, it's are the memes and all the creativity that is in humans. We have to ignite that creativity and come together as a community. And how we design these communities is going to be different in cities, is going to be different in rural areas, in different parts of the planet, but the models are going to be the same. And that is going to be the most important part of is how we create that social change which is already there, and the anxiety which is basically an apathy is conquering the young generation. So there was a study done not long, just a month ago, came out, and it said that 56% of young adults and young people are apathic and feeling doomed about the climate emergency. So we have a huge problem on our hands, because people, when they don't see any hope or any good way of future projections, that this turns into more destructive behaviors. So the psyche of the planet and the citizens of the planet who have time and energy to think about the future, not just the next day to survive, right? So people in Haiti are focusing on how they can survive the next day, how they can build that small community, because they don't know when it's going to be the next earthquake or hurricane or anything coming along. But that is for their daily survival. Now people in Africa are basically going without food and water, millions of people. So they're thinking about their daily survival. But when we think about the generations here in the first world, the problem is also huge, because if you don't have the capacity to plan for your future, right, to create something, because that planning comes with creation, that is involving destruction. So there is the different sets of solutions that we are proposing with the Green Revolution, and there is a lots of more of these solutions, but it has to come together. I just want to pick one out, and it's one is a really great idea. Is the collective storytelling, and the collective storytelling it has a long history. That's I don't know if Alicia wants to jump on this, but the collective storytelling is a part of how communities thrive and how communities build their history together.
Yeah, storytelling is it's a part of I'm not quite sure. Is it Peter? Maybe could you mute? You know, storytelling is a part of the very fabric of every tribe, and we are all tribal peoples. You know, our ancestors. It doesn't matter where on the planet you come from a tribe. And in the beginning, this is all of the auditory, right? You come together, you sit around that fire and you share. And it brings community a whole lot closer together to share those stories. And today I find it's the same thing. You're a lot less likely to sit and have war if you've sat across from someone and shared tea and stories about your life, your family, your loves, your fears, your dreams. It starts with that storytelling. It's a perfect way to connect us to each other and find where we have that common denominator, where that common ground is, because we can always find that thread of something. I don't care how opposite you might be on the political spectrum, you will always be able to find a common ground to have a foundation with, to build from, when you take that time to sit and share these stories.
Alicia, I totally agree. And when you mentioned that the foundation, what has to be the foundation is these are the stories that we have to be amplifying and creating these communities and bringing the word community together, right? So how we create these localized stories where people take action in their own communities, in their own circles, their friends, their families, taking action, learning, educating that community, but at the same time creating the foundation for this. And I want to jump back on why our foundations are important, because foundation is not about ownership. We are not owning, and that is the perspective that we have to change, I think, is that we have to eliminate that that idea that we own the land, that we own the air, that we own the seas. We are not owning anything. We have to be the stewards of the land. We have to be the caregivers of our ecosystems. So that is going to be the mother energy. That is going to be the social energy that has to rise. And in that structure that we are building with the Green Revolution, we are focusing on creating this transparent system where governance is moved back to the community. And the best way to do this is to build an international franchise, worked on foundations, because then nobody is going to be taking share of the ownership of the land, of the products, of the whole value chain. We're going to be all stewarding, which is going to be a transparent open source system. So the solutions are basically what we are designing with the Green Revolution, not just opening the cafe shop, funding artists and activists who are already working on creating those solutions and creating those communities. We have to fund the people who are already doing this, but at the same time we have to come up with a system design that this system is going to be the new way of doing not just business, but doing our social interactions, and our consumption has to be an integral part of how we maintain our societies, because we know that every 4 years or 5 years, whenever you vote, that tick, you don't feel responsible for your vote, but you feel responsible for your finances. So whenever you put your money down to something, you feel responsible about it. So that is going to be, I think, the way that we can channel people into this system, creating the social foundation, which is still a long way ahead, but that global joining of people has to come along, and it has to come along in a quick manner. And I think these solutions are going to be the key to bring people together. And what we are designing with the Green Revolution is not just we are not just coming up with these ideas, but these are already existing collected knowledge, and you can check all of our research and all of our background on our YouTube channel. So if you're interested in history, and if you're interested in climate change, and if you're interested in hemp, if you're interested in philosophy, in quantum physics, in social sciences, social behavior, neurosciences, you can already check out the Green Revolution playlist on YouTube and find documentation and presentations and talks on these subjects. What is that global change of perspective has to come, and I think this way of thinking is already in people. People already thinking about one. I think the one good thing the Corona crisis did is people stopped a little bit and start to think and start to search and look around and educate themselves. And I think now, as much as we, the whole Green Revolution is looking into different community spheres. Now, the people who are working governments or working corporations or working in that level when they don't have 100 million euros, but they are still connected to issues, to society. They also felt that change during the Corona crisis. People woke up. There is a big awakening happening around the globe. And especially the younger generations, because as I'm 33 years old. I'm a blues singer, so I talk to a lot of people in my age, and what they're saying is the same thing. They are fearful of the future. They know they don't have anything to look forward to, and that comes with the how we can make this a fun project is we are looking into the old tradition of carpe diem, and the carpe diem is not just about destroying things. It's about living in the now and understanding and creating that awareness that every day and our everyday actions are counted. That what is really counts. So that is the story that we are telling and creating ourselves. So I would just like to open up the floor, because I think there is lots of people here who are interested in hemp, and I come up with all these social innovations, which are in social science. So how hemp meets the social sciences and culture. I think it's going to be an interesting discussion. Peter from eHemp, if you are, this is an open floor. Feel free to contribute if you have any questions or any ideas on. I can talk a little bit more. on our solutions. But I would love to hear from you. What are you working on, and what do you see the solutions coming around? Maybe Raj from India. What do you think are the problems in India, and what are the solutions that you are working on?
And if I can
Yeah.
interrupt for 1 second, I
Yeah.
have to apologize because I do have to get going here in a couple of minutes. So, but thank you very much for this morning.
Thank you,
Thank you so
Alicia.
much.
Before
Yeah,
you
you
go,
can.
Alicia, I missed the beginning of your presentation, but I was totally fascinated by your talk, and I look forward to. I've been hearing a lot about you from Attila, and I look forward to connecting again very soon.
Same here, Raj. Thank you very much. Yeah. Yeah. All right, everyone.
Thank
Have
you,
a good
Alicia.
day.
Have a great day.
Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.
Thank you,
Bye.
Yan.
Raj, you can also see this because this event is recorded, so you can see this video uploaded into a couple of days on our YouTube channel. So you can watch the beginning of the presentation also. Yeah, I would love to hear from you.
Yeah, first of all, my interest in hemp and all the connected solutions, especially the carbon sequestration potential, obviously coming from climate change and climate solutions background. That was what spurred my interest. And a few years back, I started to look at, where we stood. And like I told you when we met at Glasgow, uh, the cultivation, uses, and uh, proliferation of cannabis in India, despite the ban, is just extensive. It is just unbelievable. You can find it everywhere despite the ban. Okay, so the history, cannabis has a very long history in India. In fact, the very oldest religious books and treatises, the Vedas, which are supposed to be nearly 4,000 years old, mention that, right? As one of the 5 or 6 sacred plants. So uh, unfortunately, somewhere, and it was a very vital part of our traditional medicinal system, Ayurveda. But unfortunately, somewhere along the way, it got a bad reputation. And I believe that is related to a lot of what you have said about how human society has been now consumed by stupidity, greed, and
Fear.
fear. So some people are greedy, and some are stupid, and some just are afraid to change what has been imposed on them, or to challenge the lies that are being spread. And all the governments now are in the hands of corporates, right? The good news is that uh, having spent the two weeks or more at Glasgow for the COP, and I had full access to many of the negotiations. So I was in the blue zone and the green zone, and we don't see any solutions that are coming from the people. Most of it is about uh, new ways of producing energy, distributing energy, consuming new appliances and tools, which will be powered by renewables, fine, but still be monopolized by some companies, or decisions, even nature-based solutions that they want to impose. Whereas all of us, all the indigenous people of the world, we all have a history. Our culture is intertwined with the biodiversity around us. So we cannot have a nature-based solution that is decided by somebody elsewhere because it does not apply to us, right? Going back to hemp, it was grown extensively across it grows in the wild extensively across the Himalayas. And I was just looking at one of the figures. About 60% of all the districts in India still have wild cannabis growing, right? So the potential of developing a people's system, democratized producing and marketing system, that donut economy that you talk about is so possible because it used to grow naturally where I live in the Himalayan foothills for thousands of years, and it has been less than 40, 50 years maybe since it was banned for some reasons. But now, slowly, states, some provinces already have made it legal to grow it for medicinal purposes and commercial purposes. Other states are toying with the idea. So, very briefly, the future is bright. I think we are going to get back into hemp production in a big way. I think India is going to be part of the market, and I'm looking forward to building up with you on the discussions we had in Glasgow. Uh, what the Green Revolution has in mind is absolutely brilliant. This is one of the uh, people solutions that we are looking at. Like Greta said at Glasgow, the leadership was not inside the blue zone or the green zone. It was outside on the streets, and the solutions are coming from the people. So I see Green Revolution as being part of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj. And I'm happy, and I totally agree with you. How we design this people solution is gonna be the big thing, because we have to come up. It's culture, it's hemp, it's our way of life in different societies. But at the same time, we have to create the financial system so it's not overwhelmed or jumped on by the big corporations and the big conglomerates, which is all about profit maximization and not about the care. And it's not about the people, not about the plants, not about giving back. It's all about sucking more money out of the system. So that is going to be, I think, the crucial fight. Who is going to be creating, and which is the network is going to be creating this cannabis revolution across the world? Because I think it's happening everywhere, in the States, in South America, in also we heard from Africa today, so from Tony. So there is, and in Europe, the consciousness is growing about hemp, and awareness of the solutions. So what is going to be the system that we design on this? And it has to be a transparent system. It has to work on the existing knowledge on, and I cannot emphasize enough, social behavior and neurosciences, which are already hold the knowledge, how we can convince people, how we can make them more aware, how we can make them more engaged, how we can involve them into acting for their local communities. And not just that, but also if they have money now in the developed world, how they can use their money into real impact purchases. So that is what has to come into the way of people's solving. But our research is coming from Cornel West, Noam Chomsky, Gandhi, Martin Luther King, and all Plato, and also all these different sciences. It has to come from the existing knowledge. We have to tap into that knowledge, and not figure some corporate way out how we can make more and more money. And at the same time, yes, we have to have. There is a great chat from Peter. Send a message. Products and brands and marketing has to connect to the consumer emotionally, with a mission to create a fairer and better world that has to use the latest technology actually to show the consumer that the supermarket with the people in the countries where the benefits are felt. Mobile technology can do this. And yes, I haven't talked about this, but the Green Revolution is already been working on. So what we did is we did an extended research. What kind of technological tools that we can use for creating a decentralized finance solutions, because the centralization of money, all these big banks, this it is also part of the problem. So we have to create a decentralized money system, and at the same time we have to be creating a secure system where, for example, so what we are designing is not just the payment processing. So whenever you pay with your card, you plant hemp or you plant a tree, is that the way that euros and dollars are flowing into the foundation's bank account, we create a cryptocurrency, a token, which is connected to growing hemp. So the payment processing is about 1.5% of every payments. That's whenever you pay with your card in any shop, it happens. So 1.5% of every payment goes to the bank. Now it's going to flow through the Green Revolution Foundation or these foundation networks. And this money is directly invested into growing hemp and growing seaweed, growing trees, and this money we can ensure this to be in the plantation on a blockchain. So in a transparent system, that every hemp coin that we create is creating CO2 capture. So it's capturing carbon, sequestering carbon from the air. So there are carbon credits for that. So there is an additional market which is already growing. But at the same time, we can ensure on the blockchain that coin has a backed value. It's called a stable coin. So it has a value created, because now what all these cryptocurrencies are, and also our fiat currencies, is just backed by the people's belief that they can exchange it for stuff and services. So, but what we have to be doing is to create a real production, create a real value, which is going to be hemp. And that real value is going to be represented in the cryptocurrency, in a blockchain. So it not just grows in value, it's not just our imagination keeping it afloat, but there are real life assets connected to this, and these tokens are going to be transferable to euros, dollars, or any other currency around the world. So these are the designs we are focusing on. And now, not just that, we are focusing on how we're going to create our growing system. So how we are growing and how we are sourcing our seed and genetics. So Raj, I don't know if you mentioned that the people who've been growing cannabis for thousands of years, these are the strains, right? These are the strains which are well protected genetics, and people are also stealing these strains and growing these strains and selling these strains as their own products. So these are the communities are not well protected when it comes to the strains. What and also, Tony, you can jump on this also. What is your viewpoint in from Africa?
I would quickly add here that earlier when Ingrid was speaking about mud houses or mud just earth being used for houses. Yeah, where I live in the foothills of the eastern Himalayas in Assam and northeast India, I would say a significant amount of houses here outside of the urban areas are still built with the earth, with mud and cane and bamboo, a combination of those. So like they have a kind of railing built by bamboo or cane or some other jute fibers, and then plaster with mud, and that makes it windproof, heat proof as well. So So people here are quite poor and very vulnerable to exploitation, not just in terms of what, how they are governed or how the companies come and steal the resources. But we have had many cases of researchers, people who come in the name of research, but actually come and steal, uh, valuable medicinal plants, uh, and even, different species that they know are valuable, but the people who are actually the protectors or the guardians of those forests, they do not know. So that has happened in the past, and I'm sure many of these wild cannabis are already, been taken away uh, without the knowledge of the local people at all. Uh, but this is the Eastern Himalayas is a biodiversity hotspot, a treasure trove of flora and fauna, and we still keep discovering new species, species that are new to science, uh, including new birds and snakes and even mammals. Just a few years back. So it is one of the richest areas on Earth in terms of biodiversity. Uh, who knows what new species or subspecies of cannabis is there to be, you know, explored and utilized for the benefit of all of humanity.
Yes, and I think that these strains are also has to be protected, and that what we are proposing and designing a system, a technological system that we can ensure that the strains, the genetics that is grown and sold in the European Union or in the United States or wherever in the world is protected, and the people who grow that strain, where is it coming from, they will get their share of that purchase and sale. So that is also an important, because we have to be coming with the inclusion of the equity, that we are not going there to steal
Yes.
things and steal nature and nature resources. This is the that was also back in COP, was the colonization was a huge discussion about
Yes.
how the Western world basically colonized America and India and basically everywhere on the world, Africa
Yeah.
and Asia, everywhere, and steal resources and deplete the lands and all that. And we have to be aware. I think it's going to be an important part of the design of the people solutions for the climate emergency, that we make sure that everybody is cared for, and every plant and every genetics is important and it's secure from the people who are safeguarding and protecting this for hundreds and thousands of years. So that is an important part, and I really thank you, Raj. If we are talking right now, can you give give us a little quick update on the situation of the biodiversity in your region? Because that's an also an interesting thing. Can you tell us quickly what's happening because of the climate emergency?
I always say that water is the local issue of global climate change for people and for biodiversity. So what we are seeing here with biodiversity comes from vegetation change. There has been a lot of changes due to increased heat as well as change in vegetation, and because of that, uh, a lot of megafauna, especially the herbivores that live here, mega herbivores like the rhinoceros, the elephants, both of which require huge amounts of water and grass. And now the grass is overrun by invasive creepers, because of the science has said that there is a proliferation of invasives during periods of extra heat, and we have seen that happen. I work with elephants, trying to find locally sustainable solutions for facilitating human and elephant coexistence. So that is one initiative that I've been working on for nearly 2 decades. And we have seen the elephant habitat been overrun by the grass being replaced by mimosa and all kinds of invasive plants. So the elephants do not have anything to eat because of a climate change impact. So they come and raid paddy fields, and the people are already poor and they lose their paddy to elephants. And there is conflict, people die, uh, elephants die. And if you Google human elephant conflict or human elephant conflict casualties, my region will be #1 in the entire world. You know, a lot of people die, a lot of elephants die. Uh, that is probably the worst effect of biodiversity that we are seeing. But another thing that I would also want to highlight is that the disappearance of insects. About 15, 20 years back, we could not drive on the roads in winter because your windshields will be full of insects. You know, you cannot use a wiper. You have to get down after every 2, 3, 5 kilometers and, you know, wash your car windshield. But now we don't see any insects. There are no fireflies, and fireflies used to be such a fascinating, you know, indulgence for us during, you know, 20 years back. There will be fireflies everywhere, and now you do not see a single firefly at all unless you really go to the forest. So this disappearance of insects has a, you know, cascading effect on everything, because without the insects we are seeing less number of birds, a very less number of birds. I'm an avid birder. I go out birding all the time. We keep records. So a lot of common species are slowly going out, and there are no records, you know. So the biodiversity impacts are, I think, extremely pronounced where I live and in other hotspots around the world. Of course, a lot is known about what is happening in the Arctic biodiversity or with megafauna, but there are a lot of other, you know, lesser known biodiversity, lesser known species which are being affected. I actually wrote a chapter on warming impacts on biodiversity of the world in a book called Climate Abundant. That's a Amazon #1 bestseller. It was published about 2 or 3 years back, 3 years back on Earth Day, but now it's available all over, first published in the US. So many of these things that I wrote are based on what I've seen in my place and also around India, where I have worked with different species. Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, Raj. Yes, the insect disappearing is basically happening everywhere, and that is a very frightening thing, because the food supply chain of everything, of our whole ecosystem, is collapsing, which is frightening. It's totally it's a scary thought. And growing up as a 33-year-old, thinking about all the insects are going extinct, it's a scary thought for everybody. But I truly believe that this coming together of people, and the 2014 IPCC report and the policy recommendations already said very clearly that we need a World War II type of global mobilization of people on an agenda that has to come unite people. And the idea behind the Green Revolution is that we unite humanity against greed, against our own problem, because we learned that Martin Luther King, the best way to get people together, to organize people, is always against something. So Martin Luther King organized people against segregation. Gandhi organized people against the British occupation. And now we have to be organizing ourselves and the global community to see that the destruction that we are doing on this planet is coming in our own nature, is part of our own problems. This is our own doing, and that come to terms with that, understanding the science behind greed. So I'm always referring to, you can read it in the Scientific American, which you can also find that link on our website, but I'm going to be sending that to you, that how wealth reduces compassion. What does it mean? That when you get more rich, you distance yourself from society and also from your capacity to relate to human emotions. So what it means, your brain synapses are basically changing. We can measure this with MRI machines. That's the sociopathic, that's the psychopathic behavior. Money changes you in lots of different ways, but the most important, I think, that you can imagine that if you are a multi-hundred millionaire, you're just going from hotels to private jets to yachts to hotels to private jets to yachts. You are not connecting with real people. You are not living in the real society. You don't see what is happening. You are in a closed system, and at the same time, you see people when they are coming in contact with you through your companies or any other businesses, like numbers. And that is the dehumanization process. And there is a lots of science on greed already been done by the Berkeley University, Harvard University, and Oxford, Cambridge. So there is a lots of research on this, why and how things are happening this way. So what is the Green Revolution's idea? To abolish greed from our economic system, at the same time get to people to know, create that awareness that our greed is destroying this planet, and the only way to solve this problem. So against the dark there is only light, and against greed there is only giving. So we have to come back to our nature, to our senses, that we are social people, we are social animals, we are there to give back whatever we do, and we have to train our global community to be focused on giving back whatever we can do, not just coming up with the new tool and the new tech and the new little gadget that we can sell on the market, but if effectively putting money into funding communities, funding nature, and that is the goal here with the Green Revolution. Is lots of people from all around the world already impacted and reached out, and I really thank you for all of you to join us in this early morning. I know wherever Raj, is afternoon for you from India, but I really thank you, and I hope thank you for the HC University Green Office. Thank you, Julian, who created organized this whole meeting for us, and thank I really thank Ingrid Wirs from the HT University supporting this initiative. I hope we can go to other universities too and make this project a well-known project, not just here in the Netherlands, but creating that ripple effect across the globe, because I think people now talking about the same things. Everybody wants to come together. With the Green Revolution, we have an idea how to fund it and how to create the information system for people coming together. We are here to educate. We are here to create that awareness. And I really thank you, Richard. I've seen your message. Unfortunately, as a species, we have become too clean. For instance, antibacterial sprays 99.9% of bacteria, and now that 95% of bacteria are actually good for us. Feed the insects, birds, and eat so on. Yes, it's the whole ecosystem. We are destroying everything, and this is an emotional thing. We have to be coming in that sphere with lots of emotions, but from the doom and the gloom, I hope we can come with the courage that now we have the energy, the knowledge, and hopefully the first cafe shop in Amsterdam to fund climate action across the globe. And just to give you the quick hint, we are already reaching to Malta, which legalized, and to Berlin. So next summer, hopefully, we're gonna have a coffee shop in Berlin, and also then on everywhere on the planet, spreading love, spreading hemp, and funds for the activists, the artists, and involving lots of young people. Just a little quote, just a little thing in the end. I was riding bike, delivering groceries like lots of young people here in the Netherlands, and I met a guy from Bangladesh. He is environmental engineer from Bangladesh. Met artists. There is a lots of talent. There is a lots of energy here in Amsterdam and across the world. We have to mobilize that talent, that energy, and that with that talent, with that energy, I know we can turn things around. I really thank you for all of you. Please feel free to reach out to the Green Revolution. I'll put my email in the chat, and my number is also transparent on the website. If you are interested in investing or helping us in any way building this revolution, send us an email, give me a call on WhatsApp or on Signal, and I hope I see all of you very soon in the Green Revolution coffee shop, wherever it's gonna be, hopefully in Amsterdam in the next couple months. I got some good developments on that, so we are working together with the city officials to figure out what is gonna be the best way to get this coffee shop very soon. So I'm very excited. Thank you for all your help and support, and I really want to thank Alicia again for her contribution this morning. We are constantly working together. This whole month was amazing. And thank you, Julian, again. Thank you, Ingrid. I hope I see all of you soon. And have a wonderful day. Have an amazing day, and see you at the Revolution.
Thank you. Bye-bye,
Thank you,
everybody.
everyone, for joining us.